Today we are going to be talking a little bit about love. The whole month we've dedicated to love. We've called the month of February the month of love, all because of Valentine's Day. So I hope you all had a wonderful Valentine's Day on Friday. But today we want to have Valentine's Sunday because we want to look at true love. We want to look at how to find true love. How does your heart feel today? Do you feel loved?
Yeah.
Do you feel hurt?
No.
Do you feel that you have true love?
Yeah.
Or that you'd like true love?
Yeah.
Thank you, Judy. I'm so pleased to hear that. You can leave now. This is not relevant to you. You see, many of us have experienced the pain of love, unfortunately. Many of us have experienced the joys of love, thankfully. All of us want to be loved. Every single one of us in this room need to be loved. You see, we were created with that need. We were designed to both give and to receive love. And there's not one person here today that hasn't at one point ached for love, or didn't want love, or doesn't want love. Okay, it is normal, it is human. And so today, I think the talk is relevant to absolutely everyone. We need to be loved. But what we don't want is the wrong kind of love. The kind of love that ends up leaving us wounded or bruised or broken or demoralized or devalued. What we do want is true love. True love is what our hearts were designed for. True love is what we all deserve. We need to not settle for less than anything than true love. So before I get into what love is, I want to get into what love is not. There's a common misconception that causes us a lot of heartache, and this untruth also hinders us from finding true love, and that is that love is a feeling. That is a lie. Okay, love is not a feeling. Love has feelings, and some of those feelings are wonderful, but love is not a feeling. Okay, love is a choice, and we're going to get into what that means in a bit. But if you want to find true love, you've got to erase that out your mind. Love is not a feeling. Okay? Because if love were a feeling, we'd be all over the place, because our feelings are all over the place. And we're going to get into what love is. So what I've done is I've written the 5 stages of the love journey. And these stages build on each other. One stage doesn't replace each other. You don't achieve a stage and forget the previous one. These are stages of the love journey. The final stage is true love, but each stage builds on each other. The first stage of love is infatuation. That is the fun part of love. That's when your hormones go wild and you get butterflies in your tummy and you just think this person's amazing and you feel like you're walking on air and you're just in love. This is infatuation. Infatuation is normal. Infatuation is a very important part of the journey towards true love. Without infatuation, we probably wouldn't pair up. We wouldn't bother. We need that excitement, we need that thrill, we need those feelings. Infatuation is very powerful and can also be very dangerous. Infatuation can be the reason why we end up getting hurt or end up getting ourselves in the wrong relationship. So I want to take time to explore infatuation, to understand what it's for and what it's not for. Infatuation is like a fire. If you get too close, you get burnt, or it just burns out. Okay? So you've heard the feelings, drunk with love or walking on cloud 9. You've heard people saying that. That's because what happens when you're infatuated is that there's this chemical process that happens inside your body, all right? You look, you see, you like, you want. Okay, that's what happens when you're infatuated. And when you get to that stage, something is triggered in your body. And it's scientifically proven that there's this chemical cocktail that is released when you're infatuated. Now, that chemical reaction affects your brain. I used to tell my girls when they were little, be careful of falling in love before you're ready because your brain turns to mush. Okay, and it does. It's scientifically proven that it has an effect on your brain. It an effect on your immune system. It also affects your kidneys and your liver. It reduces the production of insulin. For a woman, when you're infatuated, it can actually change your monthly cycle. That is how powerful infatuation is. So if it's this powerful, don't you think we should be careful and not mess with it? Don't you think we should understand that there are boundaries with something so powerful? One of the chemicals that are released is dopamine. Okay, dopamine is what gives you that extreme high when you're infatuated. Did you know that dopamine is also released when you take cocaine? You have the same high, and it's just as addictive. Some people get addicted to infatuation. They can't have a long-term relationship. They can't have a lasting relationship because all they want is that feeling, that high. They get addicted to those feelings. And so as soon as the feelings go, they move on to the next person. Now, people like that will never find true love because this is only stage 1 of true love. I believe that God made us for pleasure. God made us to experience pleasure. He's the one that designed this chemical. Do you want to put the picture up, Sam? I'll put a chemical there for you guys. You see, it's a scientific fact. It's a chemical. It looks like that. It's all those H's and 2's and whatnot. I'm not a scientist. There it is. That is dopamine, okay? Now, we need to understand that God put this chemical in us. He wanted us to be attracted to people. He wanted us to feel the euphoria of infatuation. God designed us for pleasure. He gave us taste buds too when we eat. He gave us bits and bobs in our body that give us pleasure. Okay? If God didn't want us to have pleasure, He wouldn't have given us the ability to experience pleasure. So before we move on, understand that there's nothing wrong with pleasure. There's nothing wrong with infatuation. But what we need to understand is that we need to learn to manage it. We need to learn to understand the dangers of it. Song of Solomon 8 verse 4, it says, "Do not stir up or awaken love until it pleases." Another version says, "Do not stir up or awaken love until it's ready." Why does the Bible say that? Well, we already know that it's not because God wants to ruin our fun. The reason it says that is because of the dangers of awakening love before the right time. For some people, the wrong time, maybe you're too young. You're just not ready to commit to a relationship. The power of infatuation is so strong, and the rejection that can come from a young girl or a young boy because they have these feelings and then they get rejected, it could scar them for life. So young people should not play with infatuation. It's not the time. When you're not ready to commit to a relationship, when you're confused from teenage hormones, the last thing you want to do is add the infatuation hormones to that. So the wrong time could be your age. The wrong time could be you've just come out of another relationship and you're still hurt. You can't build another relationship on a hurt heart. You need time to heal. Don't stir up love in that time. Give yourself time to heal and be ready for the next person. The wrong time could be you're married. Married people can get infatuated with other people. Yes, they can. Should they allow it? No. It's not time. It's the wrong time for you. Now, infatuation happens. Okay, you see, like I said, you look, you see, you like, the hormones start raging. So, do you think we have control over that? We don't have control over the very first flicker. That happens. That's when we realize, oops, it's happened. What we have control over is what we do with it. So if you're a married person, you can't say, oh, I couldn't help it, we fell in love. Of course you can help it. You can. You can have a flicker and you can say, I'm married, I'm not looking anymore. Or you can say, I'm married, I'm not going to be around that person anymore because there's this reaction. Okay? Nobody's exempt from temptation. Nobody's exempt from infatuation. But we all have free will. We all have a choice. So we can decide what we do with infatuation. If the time is right, that's fine. Go with it. If the time is right, you can explore it. If the time is wrong, you have a choice, okay? You are not subject to your hormones. They do not control you. You do have a choice about what you do with how you feel. And you can proactively walk away from it until those chemicals die down and your brain returns to normal. So it's very important to understand this is a very beautiful, very essential part of your love journey, but you are not enslaved by it. You have a choice. The second part of our love journey is romance. Romance is what happens next. Romance is when we put legs to our infatuation. Romance is when we start doing the work. Romance is waiting. Romance needs to be explored patiently. Now, some people jump from stage 1 to what they think is stage 5. They have infatuation and they jump both feet into a relationship. And unfortunately, you won't find true love that way, because true love only comes after you carefully go through the stages. Jumping from infatuation into bed with somebody is going to minimize your chances of having a relationship with it. You've got a less than 20% chance of making it. Okay? Many people think, because Hollywood have kind of told us that it's normal, that you see somebody, you have this flicker, you jump into bed with them. They've made love, true love, look like a series of one-night stands. Okay, what Hollywood fails to capture, what Hollywood fails to show, is the heartache that results of these shallow relationships. What they do is they make us think that it's normal. They make affairs look normal and romantic even. Okay, this is what the movies have done. This is not real life. And following those patterns will never get you to true love. So romance is step 2. Now let me tell you something. You are worth the effort. Every one of you are worth the effort. You need to hear this. If you are with somebody who's not willing to romance you, then get out, because you will not find true love with them. If they are not willing to make the effort at stage 2, they will never make the effort further down the line. And that will be your life. Okay? You are worth the effort. You must hear this. And you deserve to be with somebody who will make the effort, somebody who will romance you, somebody that will take the time to get to know you and to love you in the way you deserve. And let me just flip the coin. They are worth the effort. If you're in a relationship and you are not making the effort, then you're just plain lazy, okay? Stop it. Take yourself out and spare them. Or change, okay? Treat people like they are worth the effort. And don't settle for less if somebody's not treating you like you are worth the effort. The romance stage is essential part of the love journey. It's essential to finding true love. This is the part where we invest. Okay, love equals investment. What you put in, you get out. Consider building a house. If you built a house, you would have plans. The architect will design the house. And you have the final product, which is the built structure. Now imagine, in a building situation, if they went from plans to final structure, they just skipped the middle bits. The important things, like the foundations, and the lintels, and the window frames, for example, who knows what they've skipped? Imagine, the house wouldn't last very long, would it? It's exactly the same for true love. Okay, true love has carefully gone through all the stages. True love has invested, has laid a foundation. By the time you get to true love, you've got something that's going to last. And that's what we all want. We don't want the heartache of in and out of relationship. We don't want the ups and downs and the instability. What we all want is to be loved consistently. So my advice to you is don't skip any of the stages. It's as stupid as it is to skip one of the stages of building a house. If you want something solid, you've got to take the time to invest in it. You've got to take the time to build it, and you can't skip stages. Now, the most important trait of true love is that it's patient. In your romance stage, this is where you're going to patiently and lovingly invest in the person that you are hoping to find true love with. Like I said, if the person doesn't value you, don't put up with it. You are worth it. This is essential that you pull out. Because after infatuation, you kind of feel already connected with the person. Okay? But you've got to know your value, otherwise you won't find true love. In a study of 2,000 people who ranged in age from 19 to 17, had been married anywhere from 6 months to more than 20 years, and held a variety of religious beliefs or no religious beliefs at all, it was discovered that couples who delayed intimacy in a relationship enjoyed better long-term prospects and greater satisfaction in a variety of areas in their marriage. Those who waited until marriage to have sex reported the following benefits over those who had sex early on in the relationship. Relationship stability was rated 22% higher. Relationship satisfaction was rated 20% higher. Sexual quality of the relationship was rated 15% better. Communication was rated 12% better. For those couples who waited longer in a relationship to have sex but not until marriage, the benefits were still present but half as strong. Why? Why is this the case? Like I said, God does not want to ruin our fun. This is not about God ruining our fun. Galatians 6:9, it says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Taking time in your relationships has scientifically proven benefits. Waiting until you're married to have sex has scientifically proven benefits. This study was not done by a Christian man. This is a study that was just done. It was for the sake of science, to prove things. It wasn't done to prove the Bible. It was done to prove the benefits. Now, the concept of waiting and patiently building a relationship is a concept called instant gratification versus long-term satisfaction. Decide for yourself what you want. Do you want a moment of pleasure, or do you want a lifetime of satisfaction? What do you want? Because if you're rushing in your relationships, if you're rushing into getting too physical too soon, if you're rushing, then you might have a thrill. Of course you'll have a thrill. You will have instant gratification. But there will be consequences, there will be pain, or there will be something missing. Whereas if you wait and you're patient in the romance stage, and you just focus on the romance, you could end up finding true love. You could have long-term satisfaction. So decide now, decide what you would like. What would you prefer? Are you desperate to get a thrill and find someone to love you and go through all the stages quickly? Or would you really like something that is going to last? Would you like something that is long-term satisfaction? That means every day you feel satisfied to a certain degree. The next stage is bonding. Stage 3 of our love journey is bonding. This is when now remember I said each stage builds on the other. You don't give up romance and replace it with bonding. You still enjoy the infatuation. You don't have to lose anything to bond. But bonding is where we start to do the everyday ordinary things together. We start to get to know each other. Bonding is when we kind of relax a bit and we start to reveal our true colours. Bonding is when we do ordinary things like go for walks and do chores together. Bonding is when we start to get closer and all the high is dying down a bit. Not in a negative way, because it's really wonderful to have somebody to do those things with, isn't it? In Ecclesiastes 4:9-10, it says, 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labour. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Okay, it's beautiful to bond with somebody, to have somebody through the good times and through the bad times. One of the other things that happens in the bonding stage is conflict. Because we're showing our true colours, because we've let our guard down a bit, we will clash. That is natural. It's normal even to argue in this stage. Don't think that there's a problem with your relationship because there's arguing. Don't think, I've got to back out. We're not made for each other. You have to be brain dead. 2 people have to be totally brain dead not to argue. Okay? It is perfect, or they have to be perfect. You're either totally perfect, both parties, or totally brain dead. Because arguments are normal, because it's 2 different people trying to bond. And so they will be clashing. So the arguing is not the problem. What you need to look out for in this stage of love is what happens with the arguing, what happens after the arguing. Do you talk it out? Do you resolve arguments well? At the end of an argument, do you feel closer? Is your relationship stronger? Do you feel better, more confident as a person? Or do you feel broken or abused? Or do you feel less valuable? The argument in the stage of bonding is not the problem, but it's what happens afterwards. So if you're in the bonding stage of a relationship and you're working towards true love, take time to observe how you as a couple deal with the conflict. Conflict actually is essential to bonding. It has to happen. I often, if I advise couples who are considering marriage, I ask them, so have you had your first argument yet? And they're like, oh no, we never argue. I'm like, right, well, you're not ready to get married then. Because it's normal, okay? And you need to see how you deal with conflict. You have to see as a couple how you how you process arguments, how you build each other up or not. It's very important. If you can't deal with conflict as a couple, you should maybe back off. Maybe you're not ready for the relationship, or maybe you're not right for each other. So bonding is essential, conflict is essential to find true love. So don't anybody who's single here think you're going to go into a relationship and it's all going to be roses and easy. And perfect true love means you're never going to feel hurt and nothing bad's going to happen. We're human. True love is hard work and a combination of good and bad. And that's fact, that's how it is. But it can be wonderful, alright? Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins. When you're bonding, when you're exploring the path of true love, when you love somebody, you start to see their faults. That's why the conflict arises. But the path to true love is love covers. Love covers a multitude of sins. If you really love somebody, yes, you'll see their flaws, but you're not going to expose them. You're going to cover them because you love them. Don't feel that you have to say, oh, look, he, oh, she, and, expose. That's not love. That's not true love. Okay, love covers a multitude of sins. Why? Because we're all imperfect beings. And if we love somebody, we don't want to expose all their flaws. We want to cover them, and we want them to do the same for us. Many times, I cringe. I feel really sad when I'm in a situation where there's a couple and the one is in public pointing out the other person's flaws. I feel sad for the person who's on the receiving end of that. And I feel like that's not love. It's not nice. I feel uncomfortable for them. We shouldn't do that. And we may slip up. I've slipped up before. I'm not at all saying I'm perfect in this love thing. But the point is that that's what love is. Love covers. In the bond, I've missed the stage. Commitment. I think my page has got muddled up. There we go. Stage 4 is commitment. Now, commitment can vary. It can mean different things at different times. There's marriage sort of commitment. There's a commitment where you engage. There's a commitment where you just give your heart to somebody. For many of us, we've committed too soon. We've committed in the infatuation stage. We've given our hearts away. And the result is hurt. That's because we didn't understand where commitment comes into this stage. You don't have to give your heart away when you're infatuated. In fact, quite the contrary. Guard your heart. When you feel infatuated, guard your heart. When you're in the romance stage, you can give a little bit more, but don't give away your whole heart. Guard your heart. You don't know if that's the one to give your heart to yet. When you're in the bonding stage, you don't have to give your heart away yet. The time to give your heart away is only at stage 4, which is the commitment stage. And also, there's a certain time when you give your whole heart away, and there's a time when you give a little bit more. Okay? People give away their hearts too soon. They give their hearts away too easily. They give their hearts away too quickly. And our hearts get hurt so easily because of that. So stage 4 is commitment. And what we do when we commit is, like I said, we give away our hearts. Now, some of us have given away our hearts one too many times, and our heart is now scarred, or broken, or bruised, and we're dealing with a wounded heart. And for those of us that have done that, giving away your heart completely could be a real challenge. And unfortunately, to find true love, you need to be able to give your whole heart to someone. We can't experience true love if we're holding a piece back. And in my case, I struggle because I've been hurt one too many times, not by Eric, but in the past. And so for me, in the beginning of our marriage, it was really hard because I always had an escape plan. I always had a get-out clause. I couldn't give my whole heart because I was too scared. It was too painful. In cinemas and stuff, you had that little green man, the emergency exit light. You all know that light? Yeah? No one's nodding. Yeah. I always had that little light on in my heart. There was always a way out. I couldn't give my whole heart because I was scared. And it took years and years and years of learning that I could trust my husband and I could give him my heart. And slowly but surely I gave him bit by bit, and poor thing, he survived. He's surviving. But the point is, commitment. Ideally, in an ideal world, our hearts aren't broken or bruised. and we give them for the first time, and we give them entirely, and there's no little escape clause in the contract or little green light in our hearts. That's how we should be able to commit. Many of us can't do that. I'm going to tell you a little bit later how if you do have a broken heart, there is hope. Your heart can be healed, and you can get to that point where you're prepared and ready to give your whole heart, to commit with your whole heart. But let's move on to the final stage, and this is true love. After going through all those stages, you can get to the point where you find true love. True love exists in the Bible. 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 describes true love. It says, love is very patient and kind, never jealous or envious, never boastful or proud, never haughty or selfish or rude. Love does not demand its own way. Love is not irritable or touchy. It does not hold grudges and will hardly ever notice when others do it wrong. It's never glad about injustice, but rejoices whenever truth wins out. If you love somebody, you will be loyal to him no matter what the cost. You will always believe in him, always expect the best of him, and always stand your ground in defending him. This is true love. This is what we should love, this is what we should give, and this is what we should receive. This is what we deserve. This is the standard of love. Anything less is not true love. You can put your own name there. You could say, Eric is very patient and kind. Eric is never jealous or envious. Eric is never boastful or proud. Okay, you can put your own name there to measure. Am I loving? Am I giving true love? You can put your partner's name there. Angela is very patient and kind. Angela, without giggling, you've got to go through without giggling. I'm already giggling. The point is, I can measure myself. I can hold myself to this standard. Am I very patient and kind? You know, if I'm realizing I'm not very patient and kind with my husband, I have a standard here. Work on it. I'm going to work on it until I can be more patient and kind. Am I never jealous or envious? Okay, that took a few years for me to get over. But this was my standard. I knew I had to work at it. When I was insecure, when I was jealous, I knew that this is a standard that I had to measure myself against, and so I had to deal with it. This is true love. Now, this is our standard, this is what we should be aiming for. But also, we need to understand that we cannot achieve this on our own. We are humans. We are selfish to the core, every one of us. That's our nature, our human nature. This is unselfish. Love is unselfish. And we need to understand that if we want to achieve true love, we need to understand, like I said right at the beginning, that it's nothing to do with feelings. Do you feel like being patient and kind to somebody when they're annoying you? No. Anybody feel like being supportive and encouraging when somebody's driving you crazy? The one that you love is just, annoying you? Of course not. How can love be a feeling then? I don't feel like being kind and patient sometimes. But I know that I have true love, that we have true love, because I know that I have to be patient and kind. I choose to love my husband. I choose to be patient and kind and not proud, and all those things in 1 Corinthians 13. That's true love. There are no feelings involved. Now, there are days when I have wonderful feelings. There are days when I even go back to infatuation. I look at my husband and I'm like, oh, nice, okay? Those are feelings. But those are feelings that are the fruit of the love that I chose to have for him. Okay, I don't get it right all the time. I'm not a perfect wife. He's not a perfect husband. The thing that makes me know that we have true love is three things. We have a standard. Okay, number one, we have a standard. That's 1 Corinthians 13. That's the standard that we are achieving. We're trying to achieve. We're trying to attain. We have choice. That's number two. We have chosen to love each other. So when we feel like we hate each other, it doesn't matter. But we do sometimes. Some days I drive Eric so mad, he just wants to strangle me. I know that, because I know I can be difficult. I know that he'll still love me. I know that he's still going to say at the end of the day, I love you. Why is he going to do that? It's not based on me. It's based on his choice to love me. And he has over 10 years, we've nearly been married 10 years, consistently loved me, consistently told me that he loves me, even on the days when I think, this is that he's just not going to be able to love me. And that has set me free. That's how I've experienced true love. He chose. I'm sure he doesn't feel like it. The third thing we have is that we keep trying. So those are our 3 keys. Those should be your 3 keys. True love is a standard, it's a choice, and it's an effort. That's true love. Okay? What's your standard? What's your choice? Are you making an effort? If you can get there, then you can have sustainable, lifetime, true love. But let me tell you a little bit about this perfect true love. Love that is absolutely perfect, never gets it wrong, is never flawed, and that is the love of God. Because 1 Corinthians 13 sums up how God loves us. If you put God's name in there, like I put my name and Eric's name, if you say God is very patient and kind, God is never jealous or envious, never boastful, never proud, never haughty or selfish or rude. God does not demand his own way. God is not irritable or touchy. God doesn't hold grudges and will hardly even notice when you do it wrong. God is never glad about injustice, but rejoices when truth wins. This is God's love. Now, this is our standard to try and attain. This is God's standard that is. He is love. The Bible doesn't say God has love. The Bible said God is love. Whenever you experience true love, you're experiencing God. Because this is God. This defines God. God is true love. We have love. God is love. The next time you experience true love, know that you're experiencing it, you're tasting God.